Huh? Morning when it starts, 9:30. From the morning, 8:45. And lunch break when it is? Huh? 12:45 to 2:30. A lot of time, huh? So we were into research and publication ethics. So we have crossed almost uh, this for this part. I have 14 lectures. So today we will reach halfway, half. Huh? 7. So here, this is the second part, as I tell every day, to just recall you that we are doing the research methodology classes, RM, that was there in module A. And here in module, we have research and publication ethics. Here we do research formulation designs. So this green part, so this is blank now today. Huh? Okay. So here we have done what we have done already. We have covered this green part, and till yesterday, Friday, we did working hypothesis. So we will start with research design today. Okay. So we will, as in every class, we'll do a recap what we have done till now. So these are the research stages which we are following. So first we did research problem. We defined the research problem. Everybody, you all will define. Then we have to do an extensive literature survey and then develop the research hypothesis. Then we will go into preparing the research design. So research problem. So in research problem, the first and foremost step is in research process. The first is the definition of the research problem. So what is the necessity of defining the problem? Because it is very important, Because if we know, understand the problem, then understand what we have to do later stage. Okay. The techniques what we'll follow, that we will first propose the problem in a general way, then understand the nature of the problem, survey the literature, develop ideas through discussion, and then finally rephrase the problem and propose it as a working proposition, like that. How we will do it? By survey of literature is one of the steps. So what is the purpose of literature survey? So purpose of literature survey is to understand the background, help in proposing the hypothesis, which we'll do in the next stage. Then also what we'll do to help in research design. Then also structure reports, the final part of your research. Benefits of literature review: we become familiar with the subject. If we are doing something new, then we become familiar what we will pursue in literature, and then understand the various theories involved, evaluate and assess the already available literature, and it will help in prevent duplicating. So we'll not repeat what has already been carried out. Okay. Now, how to conduct a literature survey? We'll survey the primary and secondary sources, and choosing what we'll choose which are relevant, which is topically relevant, what is related to my topic. Okay. And it should be credible, and it should be properly aged. Means it should not be too, most of the literature should not be too old. And we discuss what are the points to be kept in mind while reviewing literature. We did a whole class on writing a literature review. That we did how to write a literature review, how we will proceed. Anybody has started? Huh? I have not started. But during the classes last time, then I thought, it's important actually. But we are getting, means we are having a lack of time, energy. That how we will sort out that. Anyways, but if we can, it will help. This is what the whole thing is like that. So if you follow, then we did how to propose a research hypothesis, which is a working hypothesis, and how we will do it. Definitely discussion with your supervisor, means guide, research guide who is guiding you. We have to discuss for proposing a problem. The problems anyways are already with you, whatever you work on. Your guide has discussed, you discuss with your colleagues and experts in your field. We discussed in HBNI protocol, there is a doctoral committee who will evaluate your progress every time. So anyways, your experts in your field will always be there to help you out in every stage. Examination of data and records means literature review, review of similar studies, and exploring personal investigation of other authors, like that, original articles. Then we discuss what is the difference between research hypothesis and a research question. So research question is a starting point. So if you do not have a research question in mind, we will not be able to propose a hypothesis even. Okay. So first we should have a research question, and then if we state it in a proposed answer type, in a statement way, then it is called a research hypothesis. So basically, research question is a question format, whilst the research hypothesis is statement format. Research question is open-ended, while research hypothesis is testable. So that is why research hypothesis is required for a research, because it is the hypothesis on which you will work on. So we understood what is hypothesis. Okay, we will understand more in this class, because in research design, research hypothesis is also included. So we will understand one by one. So research question is a starting point. Okay, so it's curiosity driven. So I want to know the answer of something, like that. So that is what. So coming into research question and research, what is the difference we understood, and then we go back and start what is the research design. We have now you have defined the problem. You have already, if not selected the problem, already you have in mind what you will do, right? You already have a list of problems, which you all have been given, and you will work on those. So you know what is the problem. You have done already by this time some literature survey. You have done, all of you. ये मुझे लेना है, इसके बारे में मैं पढ़ता हूँ थोड़ा सा. Library is available. You get access to the journals. No. अच्छा, आईडी कार्ड कितना दिन लगता है? अरे नो 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 नो, ऐसा नहीं है. फिर मेरा क्लास ही फेलियर हो गया. सी मैं बताया कि you should not have developed, you should have strong mentality when you are research. Learn it helplessness नहीं होना चाहिए. हाँ हाँ, अच्छा तुम करते हो अपना. नहीं नहीं, सब लोग करते हैं. सी इफ यू सी एज यू गो इन symposia and all those things, you will see that the guy means you all will go to some conference and symposia, so you will see very senior professors, well recognized scientists are coming and presenting their work. At the end they show the group photo. तो बेसिकली ग्रुप फोटो मीन्स उसमें 5-6 पीजी स्टूडेंट्स है. वो एटॉल नहीं, तुम्हारा नाम तो पहले रहेगा. So but one day you will become guide na, तो सोचो. See, everybody has to go through this process. It makes you stronger, just nothing like that. So it is like that. I have also gone through that stage. So everybody will go through that stage, and the strength of any research problem lies in the students. What I have found, because whatever you will work upon, it will be reflected in the scientific career of everyone who are involved in this. So don't think like that. It's positive. You have positive. कब बोला? When they will give the iCard? What is the date? अच्छा, आज ही तो मिल जाएगा, फिर क्या? हाँ? बोला था. अच्छा अच्छा, वो तारीख पे तारीख पे था. सिमिलर है. अच्छा, डोंट वरी, मिल जाएगा अल्टीमेटली, आज नहीं तो कल. एंड देन यू विल बी एबल टू. So once you get the iCard, you have library, Then in the Okay, you go inside and access. Okay. Central Library, BRC Library is a huge library. It has access to almost all the databases. When I joined there was not so much things online, so hard copies, everything was there. वो old अभी भी रखा हुआ है, but later on with expansion उतना तो hard copies नहीं आ सकते. Now everything is online. So we have come into digital age. In fact, now you call it, within few years it will be AI age. फिर क्लासेस मुझे नहीं लाना पड़ेगा, ऐसे AI में चला दोगे तो सब बता के समझा के चला जाएगा AI people. So ऐसा ही है. But once you go to CC, then definitely you will have. But there are access books also. Books, very good books are there in your field, whatever in there. अलग अलग काउंटर से लाइफ साइंस, फिजिकल साइंस, इंजीनियरिंग का अलग सेपरेट सेपरेट प्लेसेस है इन सेंट्रल कॉम्प्लेक्स। एंड गए हो कभी सेंट्रल कॉम्प्लेक्स? नॉट येट। अच्छा, आई कार्ड मिलने के बाद ही अंदर जाओगे। ओके। देन उसके बाद से लिटरेचर रिव्यू शुरू होगा। प्रोजेक्ट चूज करेंगे पहले। ओके। देन कमिंग टू रिसर्च डिजाइन, the preparation of the design of the research project is popularly known as research design। जैसे डिजाइन, हर चीज का डिजाइन रहता है ना। हाँ, तुम घर में हो, घर का डिजाइन है ना। एवरीथिंग, ड्रेस डिजाइन है, एवरीथिंग वट एवर। सो एवरीथिंग एज अ डिजाइन। सो लाइक दैट रिसर्च कर रहे हो ना। तो जैसे घर का डिजाइन मतलब देयर इज अ ब्लूप्रिंट ऑफ द हाउस। बिफोर the engineer starts working, they prepare a design of what we will do, a blueprint. The building will be 18 floor or 118 floor or of 2 floors. Everything will depend upon it. The foundation will depend upon it. कितना दूर, कितना बड़ा मुझे करना है, कैसे डिजाइन करना है. So that they call it blueprint. So research design means the blueprint of your research. Simple words में. So formal, what you have to do, you have to make formal decisions. Formal decisions means not casual, but sincerely. Research method means very formally you have to do it. Formal decisions regarding what we have to make, what, where, when, how much, by what means will achieve my research hypothesis, what we have proposed, right? How we will do it, what we have to do, where we will do it, कहाँ पे बनाएंगे, है ना। ऐसा नहीं, देयर इज एन एयरमार्क प्लेस, इतना एकड़ जमीन है तो उतना ही बनाना है। हाँ, दिस इज द दिस। सो मेरा रिसर्च का भी कॉस्टिंग है, सो आई हैव टू डू विद इन दैट कॉस्ट। हाँ, वेयर आई विल डू इट इन बीआरसी। हाँ, सो विद इन दैट लिमिट। सो सब कुछ मेरा डिफाइंड है, विद इन दैट आई हैव टू प्रपोज माई रिसर्च डिजाइन, लाइक दैट। So definition in one of the books, it is written as research design is the arrangement of conditions for collection and analysis of data in a manner that aims to combine relevance to the research purpose with economy in procedure. Just I told you, economic you have to think of. So research design incorporates that economics. It incorporates other things also. Will come one by one. In fact, research design is a conceptual structure within which your research is conducted. So if you have a proper design, you will have eventually. So when you join if you join some lab where it is dealing with materials, so they will say, with discussion with the guide, with the lab mates, you will be told that okay, you prepare these samples first of all, पहले शुरुआत के लिए, and then you evaluate this in this way. After the sample is prepared, you have to do these characteristics. You have to do this characterization, and then you have to do performance evaluation, and then you sit and analyze the data, means find correlations between properties को क्या बोल रहे इधर, research variables बोल रहे. So like that they are calling it variables. Will come what is variable. So research design constitutes the blueprint for collection. So as I told you, as there is a blueprint for house, so research design is a blueprint for collection, measurement and analysis of data. As such, the design includes an outline of what the researcher will do from writing the hypothesis and its operational implications to the final analysis of data. The document that provides details of the technique, methods, and essential details of the research project is called a research design. So you have to well document it. So research design is a documented technique where you will write about the details of the technique, methods, and essential the research project. So as you go and sit in a library, as you start your searching your literature, you will see there was something called review articles. That is something. From review articles, whatever relevant articles you pick up, you go to the references and go to the individual papers. So where you will find the research design? Among the graphs, from the experimental part, how they have done it. Experimental part, you will understand kaise wo kiya hai, how. And then they will tell what are the techniques used, research methods used for that. So you become familiar with how research, what are the research methods they have used, and similar methods you will find here in BRC. Okay, and then how they have presented the data. Then you will have a knowledge from the review literature, and with your guide you sit and then make a blueprint. मैं मेरा काम ऐसे करूँगा, ऐसे ऐसे. So if you study 10 different types of literature, you will have more idea. More idea means more what a refined your design will look, and you will have better results. Simple. So always keep in mind during your research process, do good literature survey, and go for a very good design. But again, always that data will come according to it. It's not assured. So you have to have that kind of um, repeatability. So need for, what is the need that we need this research design? We can skip research design and just abruptly do work. No, we cannot do that because we are doing research in a limited time frame. So we have to increase our efficiency. So if the design is well placed, we will know what are the minimal way by which I can achieve to my desired solution. So there is a hypothesis. We have to, in hypothesis there are a relationship between two properties. Say for material, as I told you, they, for a materials they establish structure property correlationship or property correlationship. So correlationship between two properties. So nothing but those are two variables where you establish correlate how one increases, other increases or decreases. Graphically you can do that. So for reaching that, you have to have maximum data collection in minimum effort. So if you have a proper design, that will increase your efficiency. You can reach the same conclusion in 1 year. You can say reach the same conclusion is 1 month, but the one which you reach in 1 month is more efficient, right? So you have to target that. For that you have to do a proper research design. That is what this is meant for. Time management, limited time hai, limited staff hai, limited money hai, everything is limited. So within that limitations we have to work, everybody in each individual place. In BRC, as I told you, huge equipments are there, a wide variety of equipment. Somebody working in a small university will not get access to every equipment of that wide variety. So what they will do, their research design will be somewhat different, or they will collaborate. So that will incorporate it into her research design. Here also you have to think, you can have access to state of art equipment, advanced equipment. So like that you can design based on the availability of staff, time and money, right? Minimizes bias and errors. So what is need for research design? That it should be done that the errors are minimized. Okay, you should not land up with errors or bias. So there, as I told you, the hypothesis can be positive, negative or neutral. You should not be biased by earlier. You should have a proper literature survey that your hypothesis is neutral, and then you achieve it is positive or negative, like that. You have to achieve that. So a proper design will minimize the bias. It will be, your research will become reliable, right? It provides reliability. Research design, in fact, has a great bearing on the reliability of results arrived, right? And as such, constitute the firm foundation of the entire structure of research work. And it will give you a proper direction. If you have a research design, if you have a design in place, you can know, okay, iske baad, iske baad, iske baad ye. So you have a sequence by which you will follow. Kahin pe atak gaya, you will try to find the solution, like that. So if you do not have a design, what you will end up spending time without any uh, output. So you have to always think that we have a design. Okay, uh, the worst case scenario, best case scenario, सब बोलते हैं ना. So you should have a proper research design in place. Whatever the problem and the hypothesis is already defined for you. So this is the need, why you need a research design. Will come how we will do the research design. Now, what are the characteristics? Characteristics is that the research design is a plan that specifies the source and types of information relevant to the research problem. So basically, it's a plan. You in research design, you are planning something. How the plan will look like? How the plan will look like? It's a strategy specifying which approach will be used for gathering and analyzing the data. Which approach you will use means for going for a hypothesis to reach. There are multiple ways to measure the data of research. A good research design helps and select the right method to collect data and analyze results according to research objective. So based on your objective, you have to uh, find the route, the pathway to reach the destinations. Simple as that. So from here to CST, you can go by Eastern Freeway, you can take the longer route, you can go to Thane and then go like that. But which one you will follow? You will take the freeway because it will take you fastest. Everyone has visited? मैं घूम के आया? नहीं नहीं गया मुंबई में? घूम लिया, हाँ वो तो कहीं आया, हाँ. Some people are roaming, So if you go from the freeway junction, so there are, for the reaching the destination, you don't know what is the destination first in research, but you have a hypothesis, and for that you have several paths to reach, to explain that hypothesis. You have to find out the shortest path. So that means the best approach you have to establish. So it gives a plan. You have to have an approach which is the best approach, and then it design will include the time and cost, means money constraints. So you cannot have an exorbitant, if you have limited money, you cannot think of a research design which is exorbitant and has infinite to study. So whatever you have to prepare, you have to think that okay, it will be completed during my timeline and I have budget to do that. Yeah, you don't have to think. You are in a very good institute, so everything is available. But somebody is doing research by alone, and as he's doing a database research where they will collect data, statistics. So he has to go and derive questionnaires. Those will do a lot of such questionnaire type of data collection. So there he has to really think where I will go, how I will collect the data. So those things also has to think in research design. You are lucky, I would say. A good research design is general, means it is not specific too much. Whatever outcomes you can generalize and apply to other type of research also. So whatever research design you develop will be applicable to the next batch also. Like that. Research design ensures that the data collected through research is based on research hypothesis, which is made at the beginning of research and thus warrants focus. So you do not deviate from your path. So you are going along and then you see अरे नहीं इधर ट्रैफिक जाम है, उधर अच्छा रहता मैं जाता तो यू टर्न लेके वापस जाए, नहीं ऐसा नहीं. So you have established the research design, you follow that path. That is what. So you will research, a proper design will ensure you that you remain focused, you do not deviate from your problem. So what is the meaning? What decisions you have to make? So these are the questions you have to ask while framing the research design. So we will do it in detail. So what are the decisions which you have to make? Meaning of research design. Decisions regarding what? I just told you, this research design means you have to answer certain questions. What questions? Regarding what, where, when, how much, by what means concerning an inquiry or a research study constitute. That is with respect to the following. You have to answer this question. There are 10 questions you see. What is the study about? First question. Okay. Why is the study being made? Second, where will the study be carried out? Third, what type of data is required? Fourth, where can the required data be found? What periods of time will the study include? What will be the sample design? What techniques of data collection will be used? How will the data be analyzed? In what style will the report be prepared? If you have answered all these questions, then you have a proper design. So you have to answer each of them properly. So this is what the research design means. Okay, so you have to take decisions. What is the studies all about? So first decision you have to make. You have problems in your hand. What is the study all about? So you have already an answer to this. So in research design, already one step ahead. You already have in what is the study about. You do not have to rethink about that. Why is the study being made? If you study a little bit, you will understand why this study is made. Like that we told about battery, hydrogen. We told that the study is made because in future we want energy independence, right? So there should be a reason why you are doing study is being made. Somebody may say, I'm doing for fundamental curiosity, if this is a fundamental research, right? Okay, so why you have to understand. Third is, where will the study be carried out? Of course, you will carry out the study in BRC, you have joined here, but something, if you want to collaborate, you can go to other DA institutes or other institutes as well. Okay, so we go to TIFR, we go to RRCAD, like that. So we get for data collection somewhere. So that also you have to incorporate. You have to keep, suppose you have to do the measurement, some measurement, data analysis, say suppose TEM, you are working on nanoparticles. You have to make TEM, transmission electron microscopy images of your nanoparticles. So where you will do it? So in BRC you have already, you can do it there. But if you have a proper research design, you have 2-3 options, right? If there is some, if the instrument is not working, if there is some issues, other issues, you can go where? Other places. I can go to, in Bombay, you are in Bombay, one of the economic capital of India, right? So you can go to IIT, you can go to TIFR, you go regular. So he is going, so we also go. and then outside also, beyond Bombay also look for getting the data collection. What type of data is required? So we have to understand first, okay, the TM is required because we have to characterize the nanoparticles, the size and shape of your nanoparticles. What periods of time will the study include? Huh? So you have to have a proper understanding. Okay, I have prepared this sample. I want to evaluate the optical properties of this. So, 5 samples, I will use a fluorometer, and we'll measure the luminescence using, and we will complete that collection in one day itself. It will not take any much of time, and then sit and analyze. If there is some error, we can repeat it. So you have to keep that in research design, those kind of data in mind. What will be the sample design? How many sample, if you want to establish, say suppose if you are creating, so there are many strategies by which, so you are creating, as I told you, nanoparticles. So you prepare a range of nanoparticles, 1 nanometer, 2 nanometer, as we discussed, the 5, 10, 20. So what will be your range, for which the property you are defining? So you are measuring the optical properties of that, luminescence of that, based on a nanoparticle size. So you have a variety of nanoparticle size, but how many sizes you will investigate, that you have to take a decision. Okay, 3 hai ya 5 hai ya 10 hai, will you do 2? But 2 will have not much meaning, right? At least 3 points are required. So during my thesis, so there are doctoral committee, I still remember one of the experts, he told that, okay, you are making 3 points, but only 3 points is the minimal for making a straight line, right? So if you have 5 points, or if you have 7 points, you will have a better data. That is true, right? So that still, so we'll learn a lot of things during my PhD, and you also all will learn that the more the better. But I cannot go to 20. I cannot handle so many samples for a single study. So what will be the sample design? You have to know what is the number of samples. What techniques of selection will be used, as we told. What are the techniques, research methods we'll use to analyze the results? Okay, how will the data be analyzed? How we will analyze it? It means statistical errors and all those things we'll find out. In what style will the report be prepared? How will we prepare a report? Whether we'll prepare patent, there are classes on patents and all those things. Kallol sir will come. We'll prepare a patent, or we'll prepare a journal article, a small journal article or bigger journal article. How we will phase out the data in the article, like that. Okay. And keeping in view the above stated design decisions. So once you have made the decision, you will see that the overall this research design can be split into 4 components. 4 components you have to make. You have to make decisions on 4. One, the sampling design. How many samples you are making. Deals with the method of selecting items to be observed for given study. Okay. The observational design relates to the conditions under which observations are to be made. Under what conditions I will say get the observations. The statistical design concerned with the question of how many items have to observe and how the information and data gathered are to be analyzed. Okay, I told you statistical analysis you have to do of your data, what you are coming out, whether it is accurate or all those statistical analysis will be done by Remia madam. The operational design deals with the techniques, means the research methods which you will use, by which the procedure specified in the sampling observational design can be carried out. So you have to do all those 4 designs to arrive of the whole research design. So you have 10 questions. If you answer, and for each of them, then can be grouped into basically 4 types of design. One is the design of sample, one is the design of observational parameters, one is the statistics or errors in your analysis, and fourth is the operational methods, means what are the research methods you will use, right? So that you will have a knowledge once you are familiar with your subject, your topic, and you know your hypothesis, what you have to achieve. Okay. In brief, research design must at least contain a clear statement of the research problem. Research problem is required. रिसर्च डिजाइन में हम आ ही नहीं सकते अगर हमारे पास रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. सो रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम हमारे पास डिफाइंड है, तो वी कैन गो इनटू रिसर्च डिजाइन. Procedures and techniques to be used for gathering information means the research methods. The population to be studied means the sampling. Methods to be used in processing and analyzing data. So data analysis, statistics. 4 thing hai. 4. So sampling design, observational design, statistical design, and operational design. So these are different words. Few additional points. In absence of a well proposed research design, many researchers do not serve the purpose for which they are undertaken. In fact, they may even give misleading conclusion. So they say that if you lack a proper research design, your conclusion may be misleading. So whatever you are drawing a conclusion, it will be full of errors. As I told you, the features of a design means what design is that it should be error free. If a proper design, your if you have a proper design, your data is free of errors and free of bias. We don't have a bias in mind and free of errors. In fact, they may even give misleading conclusion. It is therefore imperative that an efficient and appropriate design must be prepared before starting research operation. So before starting your work, you should have a design in place. The design helps the researcher to organize his ideas in a form whereby it will be possible for him to look for flaws and inadequacies. Such a design can even be given to others for their comments and critical evaluation. Okay, you can give it to other people, experts in the field. In absence of such course of action, it will be difficult for a critic to get a comprehensive review of the proposal. So if you do not give your proposed design to your guide, he or she will not be able to critically evaluate what you are going to do. Initially, if he or she critically evaluates at the design stage, the flaws and inadequacies or bias or errors will be removed. Okay, you will not go for an ACM to find the nanoparticle size. So you will not land up in a method by which you may not be able to achieve a property correlationship. So you will be always concerned with proper methods. This is what. Okay. So now we come to examples. If we don't take examples, and I don't know whether these examples are correct or not because I have thought from my mind and putting in front of you. So I just thought, well, take the example the same which we did last day, because if we take examples also new, I don't know, I will also get confused, or we can take new examples as well. Okay, so we did many examples to understand what is the difference between research question and research hypothesis, right? So in various research problems, को नींद आ रहा है आज. So क्या होगा, what we did, so we have to answer certain questions here. So we take the same example, we take the hypothesis, because hypothesis, we are doing hypothesis based research. No problem. It is expected. So we are doing hypothesis based research, not question based research. For exploratory research, it's a question based. For hypothesis testing, we are doing we have to have a research design. So these are the questions I will ask. Say suppose in healthcare, individuals in the age group 40 to 60 who engage in regular physical activity are less likely to develop heart diseases than those who do not engage in physical activities. This is the general hypothesis I made based on my literature survey, prior experience, like we discussed. No, I have to prove it. So no. Question part ho gaya. He is concerned only with exam. Very proper research design he has made of the class. So it's okay. See, this is a different kind of subject, and I can understand. When I started also teaching, so it was I improved it slowly. This year I have included example. Earlier, if you see the YouTube videos, it was not there because I have to spend time with you. I was giving online lecture. I was sitting in a room. बोला चलो बोलते जाओ. तो मैं एक ही चीज बोलते गए वो. But there are online people, and I receive mails from online people. That is how I like it. Means अच्छा लग रहा है मुझे. Online people, please continue. Means sending emails about their queries. So there were some people are interested in submitting assignment also. So मेरा जो वो था कि ऑनलाइन क्लास बेटर है या ऑफलाइन क्लास बेटर है. ऑनलाइन इज लुकिंग बेटर. They're interested to send assignments. But वो बोल रहे थे एग्जाम में आएगा कि नहीं. जो एग्जाम में आएगा वही करेंगे. नहीं असाइनमेंट्स मतलब मैं दे रहा हूँ कि देखो तुम पढ़ के जाओगे ना. सो यू विल स्टडी एंड गो होम. अभी घर जाके तुम का बायोलॉजी में हो. तो जाके वो सब जीन वीन लेके बैठ जाएगा. जेनेटिक्स, केमिस्ट्री वाला इनऑर्गेनिक स्ट्रक्चर में घुस जाए. सो व्हाट यू विल डू, यू हैव टू कम आउट ऑफ देयर. वो फिर से आओगे कल दोपहर को आके बैठ जाओगे इधर. सो मेरे इसलिए रिकैप करते हैं, एक वर्ड्स देते थे. सो वो वर्ड्स, ये प्रेजेंटेशन भी तुम लोगों के पास है. जस्ट before the date of the exam you go through the presentations, see that words, हाँ, और कुछ लिखो. मीन्स असाइनमेंट्स इसलिए है कि उसी में घूमो, ये सब एग्जाम में नहीं आएगा. हाँ, एग्जाम्पल्स, हाँ, ये सब डिस्कस करने के लिए है, अदरवाइज कैसे समझेंगे हम लोग, है ना. सो एग्जाम में नहीं है, नोबडी इज इंटरेस्टेड, ये स्किप कर सकते हैं, लेकिन फिर क्लास खत्म हो जाएगा. अभी खत्म, वो बोलेगा जाइए क्लास खत्म कर दीजिए. बट यूजीसी प्रोटोकॉल 1 hour क्लास, हाँ, and 45 hours of research methodology, publication, editing, studying, huh? So that is mandatory. So I have to stand and tell something. मेरा गला सूख रहा है, लेकिन बोलते जाना. So here, what is the studies about? Definitely, it is a study about health. That you, and health is a concern, because if I am there, I fall in this age group, my health is right now shaky. Concerns होने लगा है. At your age, you will not feel. So what is the study? What is the study being made so that people are remaining healthy? Healthy individuals हमें मिले. Because health के साथ everything is related. And where will the study be carried out? This is important. कहाँ पे स्टडी करोगे? तो अनुशक्ति नगर ले सकते हैं. अनुशक्ति नगर में सब सुबह उठते, फिजिकल देखो, सुबह वॉक करते हो तुम लोग? हाँ, तो देखा ना, काफी लोग करते. सो उसको पकड़ो और मुझे पकड़ो, जो एकदम 10 बजे उठते ऑफिस चले जाता है. सो यू हैव टू टेक सच ग्रुप्स. You have to identify कहाँ पे करो, किस लोगों को, where you will take the samples, where will the study be carried out, what type of data is required. So data, if now research design में what type of data, if I am in a very poor person, I will just measure the weight, छोड़ देंगे, weight लो, इधर मेरे पास एक weighing machine है, आओ जाओ. 10 लोगों को जो वर्क करते हैं तुम लोगों के साथ, उनको लोगे, और हमारे जैसे 10 लोग लोगे, वेट करेंगे और छोड़ देंगे. बट इफ यू हैव मोर मनी, so cost, then you will do all the lipid profile, right? जो करते हैं ब्लड टेस्ट में, जो बोल रहे थे LDL, HDL, हाई डेंसिटी लिपोप्रोटीन, लो डेंसिटी लिपोप्रोटीन, वो एनालिसिस, उसका रेशियो निकालोगे, उसका स्टैटिस्टिक्स प्लॉट करोगे. और भी एडवांस स्टेट हो तुम, कुछ इको विको कार्डियोग्राफी बहुत कुछ कर दोगे. वेन्स आर्टरीज में देख लोगे कुछ डिपॉजिट हुआ है या नहीं. ऑल दिस थिंग्स, जो भाग रहा है और जो नहीं भाग रहा है. सुबह जो उठ के वॉक कर रहे हैं, एंड दो ग्रुप में. So this is how a research design will depend upon the time, your money in hand, the facility, infrastructure which you are having. So everything depends on that. Your design will depend on that. तुम्हारे पास क्या है? You cannot think, जैसे TM हम लोग बोल रहे थे ना. So TMs advanced variations आए हैं. So proper suppose you are making a composite, 2 nanoparticles, एक निकल nanoparticle है और एक उसके साथ और एक टाइटेनियम है, दोनों का कंपोजिट बना है. नाउ टीएम में तुम आइडेंटिफाई कर कौन सा निकल है, कौन सा ये है टाइटेनियम है. और व्हाट इज, जो हम लोगों ने किया है, निकल ऑक्साइड TiO2, निकल ऑक्साइड भी और TiO2 है. विच इज द विच पार्टिकल, दैट यू कैन डू फ्रॉम हाई रेजोल्यूशन TM. दोनों का लैटिस डिफरेंट होगा. निकल ऑक्साइड एंड TiO2 विल हैव डिफरेंट लैटिस पैरामीटर्स डिफरेंट होगा HRTM से निकाला. बट वेदर देयर इज एन इंटरेक्शन बिटवीन द टू, और भी एडवांस में जाना पड़ेगा, हार्ड ऑफ STM में जाना पड़ेगा. सो लाइक दैट, depending on my infrastructure, what I have, depending on the money, money मतलब correlating with the infrastructure which I am having, डिसीजन लेना पड़ेगा. मेरे पास 5 सैंपल है, I am having access to STM, but I will give only few samples where I will get the data. Here also मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है, तो मैं वेट लेके छोड़ दूंगा. And as and when, so the money part, the economics, the time, everything is coming. What type of data is, where can the required data be found with those people, what periods of time will the study include. 6 महीने तो देंगे हम लोग ना उसको भागने के लिए, है ना. नहीं तो क्या वजन कम ही नहीं होगा. आज वेट लोगे, मेरे को पूरा दिन भगाओगे, फिर कल आके सेम ही वेट होगा, isn't it? So you have to give certain amount of time for that. Similarly for your research, scientific research, isn't it? They will have to define the timeline. What will be the sample design, कितना लोग लोगे, that you have to decide. For I told the research design must be such that you arrive at the generalization. एक थ्योरी प्रपोज करोगे. सो 50 लोग लोगे एटलीस्ट. 50 लोग जो भाग रहा है, 50 लोग नहीं भाग रहा है. फॉर दिस स्टडी, अदर स्टडी में 5 से ही हो सकता है. What techniques of data collection will be used, that you have to design. How will the data be analyzed तुम क्या घर घर लेके जाओगे या उसको बुलाओगे घर पे, समथिंग लाइक दैट. एंड इन व्हाट स्टाइल विल द रिपोर्ट, फिर फाइनली रिपोर्ट कैसे तुम पब्लिश करोगे, हाँ, न्यूज़पेपर में डालोगे, हाँ, और ये क्या करोगे. सो नीड, व्हाट इज द नीड. सो आई टोल्ड यू रिसर्च, इसमें डिजाइन नहीं करते तो हम लोग नहीं कर पाएंगे, बिकॉज देयर इज अ नीड फॉर रिसर्च डिजाइन, बिकॉज इट विल इंक्रीज द एफिशिएंसी. हाँ, इफ we have done this study in a 6 month time period by proper designing, में जो कंक्लूशन और कंक्लूशन में जो ड्रॉ करेंगे फ्रॉम द हाइपोथेसिस, वी विल डाइट इट एट मच फास्टर स्पेस. अगर हम लोग डिजाइन नहीं है, वी विल नॉट एबल टू, वी कैन नॉट आइडेंटिफाई द सैंपल, वी डोंट नो what methods we'll use, we will not able to reach to the conclusion. So there is a need for increasing the efficiency. Time, हाँ, बायस नहीं होगा. हाँ, तुम घर पे किसी का कर रहे हो जो ऑलरेडी वेट कम है, उसको जितना भगाओ वो दे विल नॉट, वो उसको ऑलरेडी फिट पर्सन. हाँ, सो वी विल नॉट हैव अ बायस. सो इफ यू डू विथ सच अ पर्सन, व्हाट यू विल एंड अप, फिजिकल एक्सरसाइज नो इम्पैक्ट ऑन योर हेल्थ. हाँ, हाँ, वैसे हमें नहीं चाहिए, बायस नहीं चाहिए, तो वैसे सैंपल लेना है. ओके, एंड रिलायबल डाटा चाहिए एंड डायरेक्शन चाहिए. तुम वेट ही लोगे उसका, उसको बुला के तुम खाना वाना खिलाओगे नहीं, या और कुछ मेजर में नहीं करोगे. हाँ, उसका एंड देन यू सी उसका डायबिटीज है क्या, एंड देन यू स्टार्ट रिसर्च ऑन डायबिटीज. ऐसा नहीं, विल नॉट डिविएट, विल बी कंसर्न ओनली ऑन द ओबेसिटी पार्ट. ओके, दिस इज व्हाट रिसर्च डिजाइन इज नीडेड फॉर. तो हम लोग कैसे साइकोलॉजी में इसका देखेंगे, तो उसमें हम लोगों ने नीड देखा, इसमें हम लोग इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर्स और कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स देखेंगे. We have a plan. Oh, caffeine intake affects students' concentration level. Huh? That we concentration level. तुम लोगों ने भी बोला है, few people. Huh? So what is the studies all about? It's about psychology. What is the study being made? Because it will help improve the students' performance. Where will be study carried out? तुमको define करना है. Where type of data is required? Huh? Exam का output of the students, like that. टाइम कितना दोगे, एक साल तो देखोगे ना. क्लास 10th का स्टूडेंट लोगे तो 50 students who are drinking coffee, 50 who are not drinking coffee, like that. And जो टेक्निक्स यूज करोगे, तो दिस यू हैव टू हैव अ प्लान, यू हैव टू हैव एन अप्रोच फॉर दैट. टाइम यू हैव टू डिफाइन, 1 year एटलीस्ट टाइम दोगे फॉर एग्जाम एंड कंटिन्यूअस आउटपुट. You can then arrive at a generalized theory at the end of your research. You arrive and propose a generalized theory, and it ensures focus. वो स्टूडेंट को पढ़ाते नहीं बैठ जाओगे, सिर्फ कॉफी दोगे और रिजल्ट्स देखोगे. हाँ, isn't it? अगर तुम पढ़ाओगे तो क्या होगा, बायस आ जाएगा. दैट विल सी हाउ कैसे बायस आएगा. Sociology for voting patterns in urban communities is significantly influenced by the socio-economic status of the voters. We discussed, We discussed that voting patterns vary करता है. So what is the studies all about? Very interesting study. Exit polls देखा है ना? Same study. वो लोग research करते हैं. These are research wings. Huge funded, and they are doing very good because उसको news channels को चाहिए वैसे research. So they do an exit polls, means they have a very properly well defined research design. वो ऐसा सैम्पलिंग नहीं करेगा कि एग्जिट पोल और रिजल्ट अलग हुआ. Isn't it? इधर आके किसी को नहीं पूछेगा कि रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स रेस्पेक्टेबल या नहीं, है ना. मेरे को पूछेगा और तुमको पूछेगा, है ना, और 50 बैलेंस आउट हो जाएगा. मैं बोलूंगा वेरी रेस्पेक्टेड, हाईली रेस्पेक्टेड. सो so like that. So voting patterns वैसे decide. So they are very careful. How they have found that the results are matching. Exit poll के साथ poll का match करता है, कितना लोगों का वो देता है, in thousands, and they are correlating with the millions, millions का voting output. They have very good sampling, free of errors, right? They have placed a very good research design, like that, and they know how the data to be collected, to which questionnaires, how. कभी फोन रिसीव हुआ एग्जिट पोल का, मेरे को लास्ट टाइम आया था. वेरी नाइस फ्रेमिंग क्वेश्चंस, दे so that you respond, they keep the questions limited. तुम बोले नहीं मैं इंटरेस्टेड हूँ, कट कर दोगे. So like that. So very good research design they have established क्या क्या क्वेश्चन पूछना है, means data collection method, research methods are in place. सैम्पलिंग डेटा उनको पता है कि किस किस को सैम्पलिंग, कौन सा एरिया में सैम्पलिंग करेंगे. डेमोग्राफिक्स इज इंपॉर्टेंट. सपोज अनुशक्ति नगर में उसको आउटपुट चाहिए, सो दे विल पुट अप सैम्पलिंग फ्रॉम एवरी कॉर्नर्स. इवन आई डोंट नो, दे आर नोइंग कि कैसे सैम्पलिंग करने से जनरलाइज आउटकम कर सकते हैं. सो दैट विथ सैम्पलिंग ऑफ 500 people, I can propose that 50,000 people will follow the same results. So sampling important है. Observational design, कैसे observation under what circumstances people are living, वो देखेगा. And different society, socio-economic pockets में वो find out करेगा. If the and they will arrive at a proper outcome. Statistics करेगा errors का. They will make an errors, Gaussian या कोई भी statistics होगा. What the results they have got. And then they will do an operational design. Methods कौन सा यूज करेगा? फोन में पूछेगा, इंटरनेट में ईमेल करेगा, या आके पूछेगा, या आपको बुलाएगा, कोई बूथ के बाहर बैठा रहेगा. So like that, they have the proper methodology in place, a proper research design they have. That is why they have a very good output. Same way, in every field, in scientific fields also, you have to have a proper research design. Then only what will happen, you will have a very good outcome of your research. This is that. यही है. So we saw three examples: healthcare, psychology, and this sociology. These two examples are well established. Exit poll is successful, that you all know. Sometimes deviation होता है, वो तो हुआ है past में. So what are the features of a good design? So a good design होगा, if a design is good, what it will contain. So a good design होगा, it will be flexible. That design should be flexible. Flexible my means, as I told you, that I know that I will do the TEM of your sample. And I have in place, there are metallurgists, TM है, metallurgy divisions में, MSD, there are metallurgy people, so I will do it there. Suppose किसी कारण में, if I am not able to do, I should be flexible, that I have a second option or third option for some reason. For some reason I am getting the data, so I am flexible, that okay, I will do the data collection in a different manner. So those flexibility should be there. It should be appropriate. Efficient means the shortest way, and economical. Economics means minimum spending, and so on. The design which minimizes bias and maximizes the reliability. It should minimize the bias. It should not be one way, and maximize the reliability. Your data should be reliable. The design which gives the smallest experimental error. All these statistics, these are comes under statistical design. Smallest experimental error. Yes, all these things will be covered in the other class. A design which yields maximal information and provides an opportunity for considering many aspects of a problem is considered most appropriate. Means maximum information and opportunity for considering many aspects of a problem. A problem looked after in different ways. Say, as I told you in the first class itself, that chromium we doped on iron oxide, it gives better activity, better stability. We can see in only one way, that the chromium sits in grain boundaries and prevents sintering. But there can be other ways also. There can be playing of oxygen vacancies, there can be playing of lattice parameter, there can be playing some property of morphology, effect of morph. So all aspects you have to look. Your design should also contain all aspects. Then only we investigate all these aspects. It can have an effect of porosity. Then you will analyze the pore structure. If an affect a local structure, you will do an exhaust. If you do not have all those aspects in mind, you will not put into your design those ways or those aspects. वो exclude कर दोगे, वो bias हो जाएगा. One way ही सोच रहे. किसी ने रिपोर्ट किया है कि वो grain boundary में बैठता है, and you will do a TEM and try to prove it and then end up. No, we'll see multiple aspects of the same problem and try to solve it. The question of good design is related to the purpose or objective of the research problem, and also with the nature of the problem to be studied. A design may be quite suitable in one case, but may be found wanting in respect or other in the context of some other research problem. One single design cannot serve the purpose of all types of research problem. Means all of you will have different kinds of research design, and it's your as an individual has to develop in and evolve in. You can definitely discuss with your colleagues and your friends, but ultimately you will end up with a good design only if you think it from multiple aspects from your own problem. Okay, solving the own hypothesis or the research problem in hand. Okay, थोड़ा पानी पी के आते हैं. कितना बजे? 3:30 बज गया. 3:30, 25. So we'll take a break आज. Isn't it? क्या लेंगे? Yeah. for good design. So these kind of problem will be there throughout. हाँ मेरे को भी है तुम इसके साथ ही हाँ डिजाइन हाँ how we will solve it. ठीक है सोच के आता हूँ हाँ I will do a literature survey on this. Huh? So, factors to consider for design. So we do just say everything for problem research. Defining a research problem, you understand the techniques. For defining the research problem, you understood the techniques. For proposing the hypothesis, वो भी टेक्निक सोचा. तो डिजाइन के लिए भी टेक्निक है. क्या क्या टेक्निक है कि we have to consider the means. पहले बोला कि 10 questions है. Those 10 question guiding questions, what are 10 guiding questions? जो 10 question answer से you will come to know the four, what are the four components of research design, right? And what are the factors you should consider is that the means of obtaining the information, the availability and skills of the research and staff in any. The means of obtaining information, how you will obtain, the research methods, means क्या करूँगा मैं, कौन सा टेक्निक यूज करूँगा during my research, and then the availability and the skills of the researcher and his staff. जो मेरा लैब में जो स्किल है वही स्किल में होगा ना, and then जो collaborate कर रहे हैं हम लोग बाहर. The objective of the problem to be studied. What is the objective? Means the hypothesis which you have proposed, the nature of the problem, and the availability of time, money for the research work. So same things. What are the factors to be considered and all those things. Besides the availability of time, money, skills of the research staff, and the means of obtaining information must be given due weightage while working out the relevant details of the research design. So this is what. If the research study is exploratory or formulative one, means exploratory research के case में, the major emphasis is on discovery of idea and insights. Okay, in exploratory research, it is discovery of ideas. So the research design must be flexible enough to permit the consideration of many different aspects of a phenomena. But when the purpose of study is accurate description from the situation or of an association between variable, accuracy becomes a major consideration. So there, for exploratory research, we can play away with accuracy, but for experimental, means for where you are establishing relationship between variables, accuracy is important. So these are the concepts. These are the 10. So we did 10 questions based on which we can design a research, right? The 10 questions, if we have the answer to the 10 questions, we can do a research design, how we will go about the research. These are the 10 concepts or the parameters we should know for our research. We should have answer to this. So these are the 10 concepts. First is dependent and independent variables. Second is extraneous variable. These are the terms used in research design. Second is control. Third, okay, control. Fourth is confounded relationship. Fifth, you have already heard research hypothesis. So research hypothesis also, as I told you, you will go back and forth. So in research design also, the hypothesis is an important integral part. Experimental, non-experimental hypothesis testing research, experimental and control. So it is hypothesis testing research you are doing. Either you are doing through experiment or without experiment. Okay, like socio-economic factors affect the voter, but there is no experiment you are doing. But in case if you do an experiment, that is experimental hypothesis testing. So this is that one. Socio-economic factor was a non-experimental hypothesis testing. Experimental and control groups. So if you understand control, we will understand what is control group and what is experimental group. Treatments, experiment and experimental unit. So these are the 10 these are the 10 parameters or the 10 concepts of research design. So we have to understand each concept one by one. So first we take dependent and independent variable. It's very simple. A dependent variable is one which is dependent on the independent variable. A variable means which is varying. Okay. A concept which take on different quantitative values is called a variable. A concept which can take different quantitative value is called a variable. Like mass, height, etc. These are variables. It varies. Okay, and you can express it all these quantitatively, right? Phenomena which can take quantitatively different values even in are called continuous variables, but on variables which are not, if they can only be expressed in integer value, they are non-continuous. And discrete variables, they, as you have already known, continuous and discrete. Other thing is that if one variable depends upon, so there is a variable which depends or is a consequence of other variable. this is coming as a consequence of another variable, then that is termed as dependent variable, and on which it is dependent, and the variable that is antecedent to the dependent means on the dependent variable is dependent on the other variable, that is the independent variable. So these are the two variables mostly you have to deal with research design: independent variable and dependent variable. Because independent variable you are not huh, changing, but the dependent variable, it is dependent on the independent variable. Independent variable is independent of it. Okay. Extraneous variable. So what is extraneous variable? Just try to understand. It is also an independent variable. It is not dependent. It is not dependent on anything else. Independent variables that are not related to the purpose of the study. Here there is a variable. There are two variables: independent variable and dependent variable. Those two variables were purpose of your study. Huh? Huh? Like what? Like any two variables which I am concerned with during my research. But there is a third variable also existing which I am not concerned with, okay, which is independent. So independent variable that are not related to the purpose of our study. It is not concerned with our study, but may affect the dependent variable. Okay. So in ideal, it should be that independent variable is affecting dependent variable. But there comes a tricky thing that there is a third variable which is also independent, which I'm not concerned with, but it is affecting the dependent variable. So what happens, in fact, I found a relationship, I established a relationship between two variables, the independent variable, dependent variable. But in fact, the dependent variable relationship varies because of a third variable, which is outside of our research work. It is extraneous variable. So we always have to think, understand what is the extraneous variable and remove it. Okay. Yes. Qualitative variables. It is a book I have taken from the means Kotari's book. So, a variable like this mass, height, income, these are all quantitative. So that is why we are, let's say, qualitative research pay, it will be qualitative variables like just a mental behavior. As I told you, there is no quality, there is no quantity which can define. We can tell, okay, there are various, so psychologists use various qualitative values, not any quantitative values. So that is an example of qualitative research we did in the first day. So like that, here they are telling it like quantitative variable, but yes, definitely it can be qualitative also for qualitative research. Uh, so effect is noticed on dependent variable as a result of extraneous variable described as experimental error. So where the error comes is that they are telling if there is a modulation of the dependent variable because of extraneous variable, which I am not concerned with, then there will arise an experimental error. A study must always be so designed. So you have to design your study so that the effect upon the dependent variables is attributed entirely to the independent variable, okay, and not to some extraneous variables. So there are three variables we have defined: independent variable, dependent variable, and extraneous variable. You are doing a study where you are establishing a relationship between independent and dependent variable. Some extraneous variable should not affect the dependent variable. If it affects, then we will come to our erroneous data. Okay, erroneous conclusion. This is what. For example, they have told relationship between children's gains in social studies achievement and their self-concept. In this case, self-concept, which is there, is an independent variable. Okay, I have a concept like this research methodology classes also, and social studies achievements is a dependent variable. But here there is an extraneous variable. If you consider several kids of different intelligence level, so this variable itself is non-quantitative. You cannot quantify. So intelligence may as well affect the social studies achievement. So not only the self-concept, right? So here we have an independent variable, and the dependent variable is the outcome of the social studies marks. Okay, so the marks we have achieved in social studies, it is not only dependent upon what he has studies, but the intelligence will also play a role. So we have to select a group of students who are of same intelligence level to arrive at a logical conclusion that self-study or self-concept is related to the performance outcome. But if we have a sample which is of different intelligence level, then there comes an extraneous variable, that is intelligence level. It will affect and you will come to an erroneous results. Somebody who is studying 1 hour is getting higher marks than somebody who is studying 10 hours, right? So here the intelligence level is giving an error to your data, and you are bound to come to a biased or an error conclusion. Okay, so design should consider the extraneous variable. Third thing is control. Okay, control means one important characteristics of good research design. One one important बंद हो गया देखो. So if closed in online will also close. Now it is there. So जैसे गाड़ी चलाते चलाते ना वो साउंड पता चलता है. अभी मेरा गाड़ी 10 साल हो गया, साउंड देता है. तो वो जो चलाता है मेरे बाजू में बाकी लोग बोलते हैं कहाँ से तुमको साउंड सुनाई दे रहा है, मुझे नहीं. आप लोग को लग रहा है कि हाँ सर कैसे ही बोल रहे हैं. वन इंपॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ अ गुड रिसर्च डिजाइन इज टू मिनिमाइज द इन्फ्लुएंस or effect of extraneous variables. So I told you, you have to minimize the effect. So the technical term, here, these are all terms. The term control is used when we design the study minimizing the effect of extraneous independent variable. The term control to refer to restraint experimental conditions. Okay, so there is a control group or the control data collection means you are not allowing any external variable to come and affect your dependent variable. It's simple as that. Okay, so a control group in this, the previous experiment was same intelligence level students. We will have a control group where the intelligence will not affect the performance outcome. Confounded relationship, when the dependent variable is not free from influence of extraneous variables. So when the dependent variable, so there is a dependent variable which is the performance outcome, okay, is not free. If you have if you do not have a control group, what will happen? The intelligence level will take part in affecting the performance or the marks. So if there is no control, you have a lack of control, then it is told that you have a confounded relationship. Okay, when the dependent variable is not free from the influence of extraneous variables, the relationship between dependent and independent variable is said to be confounded by an extraneous variable. So these are all terms, okay, terms used when the independent variable and dependent variable exist and an extraneous variable affects the variability of the dependent variable, then between the independent and dependent variable, a confounded relationship exists. Research hypothesis, we have done one class on research hypothesis, no more on research hypothesis. Okay, but here in research design, you have to consider the hypothesis, because without hypothesis, what we will do, right? We will answer the research hypothesis itself. We will do the design based on the hypothesis. Experimental and non-experimental hypothesis testing research. When the purpose of research is to test a research hypothesis, so hypothesis testing research we are doing, it is termed as hypothesis testing research. It can be of the experimental design. For this testing of hypothesis, you can do an experiment or non-experiment. You cannot do an experiment. Then also you can do a hypothesis testing research. Two ways basically. Research in which independent variable is manipulated is termed experimental hypothesis testing research. So when we call it as an experiment, when the independent variable is changed, you are changing the independent, you are performing an experiment. If you are not changing an independent variable, you are not performing an experiment. Okay, so that is non-experimental hypothesis testing research. Variable not manipulated is experimental hypothesis testing research. So one example from the book, Kothari's book, it is given. Suppose a researcher wants to study whether intelligence, okay, now here intelligence, it is affects the reading ability for a group of students. So they have a group of students and they say that the researcher wants to study intelligence on the group of students, for which he randomly selects 50 students and tests their intelligence and reading ability by calculating the coefficient of correlation between the two sets of scores. Okay, this is an example of non-experimental hypothesis testing research, because herein the independent variable, which is intelligence, is not manipulated. Okay, so they have measured the intelligence level of say 50 students, outcome of the students, and they see in 2 times they do the outcome and the intelligence level correlationship, and in both cases they establish a relationship, but they are not manipulating the intelligence level, and they independent variable is intelligence, and the intelligence versus performance outcome is correlated. Okay, so two variable correlations you are doing here. The intelligence level is not manipulated, so this is not an experiment. Okay, this is just non-experiment hypothesis testing. Intelligence level affects the performance outcome. Okay, but now suppose that our researcher randomly selects 50 students from a group of students who are to take a course in statistics, and then divides them into two groups by randomly assigning 25 to group A, the usual studies program, and 25 to group B, the special studies program. So special studies program, and 25 to group A, research studies program. At the end of the course, he administers a test to each group in order to judge the effectiveness of the training program on the student's performance level. This is an example of experimental hypothesis testing research, because in this case, the independent variable, the type of training program, is manipulated. Okay, so here we are doing research methodology classes. So out of this, say suppose this after lunch we are taking research methodology, and suppose there is another class who is doing say chemistry, so the chemistry students go and attend just inorganic chemistry classes. Now you do testing, but here the independent variable is varying. Okay, because the training program is varying, so the performance outcome you cannot correlate. Okay, you are doing an experiment to measure the correlation. So if the other people perform better, the research methodology classes, okay, say suppose life science is performing better than chemistry, then what we will say, we have done an experiment where we are testing whether the same set of students are performing better in research methodology or in chemistry. The training program is varied. So what they have done is done an experiment. If you do not do an experiment, just allow them to do the same things without any manipulation, then it is known as non-experiment. Experimental and control groups, we have already understood what is control group and what is control, where you are not allowing the mm, any effect of extraneous variable. So there are two types of groups. Here they are mentioning two types of group: experimental groups and control group. So experimental group is where you are manipulating the variable, and control group you are not manipulating the variable. In an experimental hypothesis testing research, when a group is exposed to usual conditions, okay, जो usual condition है उसमें we are exposing, it is termed as a control group. But when the group is exposed to some novel or special condition, it is termed as experimental group. In the above illustration, group A can be called a control group and group B an experimental group. If both group A and group B are exposed to special studies program, then both groups will be termed as experimental groups. It is possible to design studies which include only experimental groups, or studies which include both experimental and control groups. Treatment is nothing but the manipulation you give. Okay, the different conditions under which experimental and control groups are put are usually referred to as treatments. Illustration taken above, the two treatments are the usual studies program and the special studies program. So they are giving two treatments, like as I told you, one chemistry classes and research material classes, two different training programs. So they are giving two different types of treatments. The treatments are varied. Okay, this is a similar. If you want to determine through an experiment the comparative impact of three varieties of fertilizers, so we slowly come into agricultural research, because in textbook mostly agricultural research is given a thrust, because it is a research which is done mostly here in India, because we are an agriculture related country and it has a lot of outcome based on fertilizers, irrigation, and all those things, the type of soil. Similarly, if you want to determine through an experiment the comparative impact of three varieties of fertilizers on the yield of wheat, we have three different fertilizers, we want to know the comparative yield of wheat based on the three different fertilizers. In these three cases, the three variety of fertilizers will be treated as three treatments. Then we call that three treatments and three experiments. We do three experiments based on three treatments. These are the definitions. Okay, these are coming in exam. Okay, what we do, the examples are not coming in exam. So experiment, the process of examining the truth of statistical hypothesis. So statistics, other classes are there. So we'll do a lot of problems. So we do an experiment for relating to some research problem is known as experiment. For example, we can conduct an experiment to examine the usefulness of a certain newly developed drug. Experiments can be of two types: absolute experiment and comparative experiment. If you want to determine the impact of a fertilizer on yield of crop, it is a case of absolute experiment. But we want to determine the impact of one fertilizer as compared to impact of other fertilizer, our experiment then will be termed as comparative experiment. Often we undertake comparative experiments when we talk of design of experiments. So generally, as we told, that various size of nanoparticles, various concentration of dopant. So various, so you compare, what you do, a comparative evaluation of the same material, based on the different components incorporated into material, you find out the property. So this is what you do. So you do a comparative experiment. Experimental units, the predetermined plots or blocks where the different treatments are used are known as experimental units. Such experimental units must be selected very carefully. So there are units. So you can take this units as one sample or something. So these are the summary. In one word, it should come. I spoke a lot, one after the other, in very fast. So summary. So these are the concepts, one line. So we spoke of two variables, independent and dependent variable. Independent variable, IV, is what a researcher manipulates. Manipulating the independent variable. Dependent variable is the outcome measure. So you will measure something. You change something and measure something. Two properties you are measuring. Extraneous variable, factors other than independent variable that may influence the dependent variable if not control. If we have control, then what is what? Measures to neutralize or standardize extraneous variables. If we are able to neutralize the effect of extraneous variable, if we do not allow, then we say that a control experiment. So often in, I don't know, in our research, we say control experiments. Have you read control experiments? Control experiments are performed means we are not allowing external factors to influence our study, right? So that is what is control experiment. Confounded relationships occurs when an extraneous variable influences both IV and DV. Research hypothesis, a testable prediction linking independent variable and dependent variable. So here we get another definition of research hypothesis. Just, it is a testable, something which you can test, and a relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. So you have in your research, in a problem, you have defined the hypothesis, you have defined the problem, you have done a literature survey, you have defined the hypothesis, and you are designing your research. And at that stage, you have to link two variables, independent variable and dependent variable, okay, and establish a relationship between the two. How we will do that? By doing experimental or non-experimental hypothesis testing research. So we'll test your hypothesis doing an experiment or observing without experiment. So experimental involves what? Manipulating the independent variable, while non-experimental observes the natural variation, okay, but still you can get the research outcome. Experimental and control groups. Experimental group receives the intervention or the manipulation, or control groups does not receive, or experimental groups receives a special treatment while control groups receives the usual treatment, okay. Treatments. What is a treatment? A specific intervention or a special condition applied to the experimental group. Treatments are applied only to the experimental group. Experiments, this is a study, and the experimental unit is the smallest unit which is to be applied, okay. So we take one by one examples. So again, hypothesis. First, you have you are doing PhD in sociology. You have a social media use. You have a broad topic, and in the end, you have proposed a hypothesis. That what is the hypothesis? Within the research design, somewhere hypothesis will be more use of social media leads to lesser community participation. So more the mobile phones we are seeing, you will have less of community participation. This class is a community participation. Okay, I can see 4 or 5 people who are looking into the mobiles throughout. They're not. I'm not. At that time, I could have said, but I'm just telling. So the more you look social media, you will be less concentrated on other things. Okay. आई एम नॉट कंप्लेनिंग, यू देख सकते हो, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, तुम इसको ऐसा मत सोचो, you can always see mobile. But see, in this age, how we keep contact through Facebook, through Instagram, and all those things. Huh? So in sociology, the what I told you again, the contemporary research, like what is going on right now, will not think of some old age, huh? Ancient technology. मेरा बेटी कम पढ़ती है, तो मैंने बोला तुम थोड़ा मेडिटेशन करो, बोलते ओ एंशियंट थिंग्स मत बोलो मुझे, so they call it ancient, ये वर्ड यूज कर रहे हैं. So contemporary research में क्या है, more social media use, they are using a lot of social media, right? So social media use says that as more and more you use social media, the community participation means society में जो, suppose something is going on, some function, your community, from community which you are, they have some social gathering, you are not participating in it, you are trying to avoid. मैं तो फेसबुक में खुश हूँ, इंस्टा में ही देख लेंगे, हाँ, ऐसा है. सो राइट नाउ this is a hypothesis, now you have to test it, so there are two variables. Independent variable is social media use, okay, and the dependent variable is based on social media use, what will change? The community participation. Extraneous variable क्या affect कर सकता है? Age. मैं सोशल मीडिया यूज ही नहीं करता, I do not have an Insta account. मुझे निकाल ही देगा इधर से, हाँ? So, but young generation like you, Generation Z, huh? So, they, so they have a lot of what I will say, social media, and it's good. See, I'm not telling which is, I'm not a judge, huh? So you always use social media. You use it in class also, no issues. But they say that it affects community participation. So for proving that, so if somebody is doing the research, they will select a sample, of similar age, or if Generation Z, then Generation Z only. You know now what is Generation Z? You all are aware. So of the same age, right? Otherwise, what will happen? The outcome what we will come will have errors. मेरे को देख रहा है वो तो अलग कोई इफेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है, तो दैट यू शुड नॉट बी. एंड ऑल्सो द एजुकेशन, so these are factors, extraneous factors. So if you do not take the sample according to that, हाँ, एक 70 साल, एक 50 years and एक 20 years का लिया, and then study these three, you will see that 20 years में बहुत effect है, 70 में effect नहीं है. So it will have an error in the outcome that social media use leads to lesser community participation. So that is an extraneous variable. And control is demographic matching. So in BRC, once you go inside BRC, no mobiles. अभी अभी देख लो जितना देखना है. So major part, so 10 hours completely absorbed in science, scientific work. So उसमें अगर मुझे इसका impact देखना है, social media use leads to community participation. Your batchmates who have gone to a university, they are continuously seeing mobile, right? But you will be devoid of that. So I cannot compare a group which is 5 students from here and 5 students from there. I have to think of the demographics. Only BRC students, I will consider you, and suppose 2 hours you are using at home. So based on that, I can do a study, right? Okay, this is what. So demography is the control. So if we do not have that control, then what we will have a matching. This is time non-experimental, means we are not giving any manipulation. We are not manipulating anybody. You are allowed to do what you are doing. So like that. These are the examples. Experimental, though there are two groups, as I told you, to achieve this. So two groups will be there: experimental group, high use group; control group, low use group; treatment, nothing; and individual respondent. Individual. The lowest unit is individual. Highest unit is 50, 40 participants. These are just example I just wrote from my. So don't take it. You do not have to study for exam. He is free अभी. तो वो लोग अभी लाइफ साइंस का प्रोजेक्ट देख रहे हैं या कुछ कौन सा इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच देख रहे हैं नहीं देखा, देखा, कल देखा. सो साइकोलॉजी में जाते हैं. सो नाउ वो कॉफी निकाल देते हैं. कॉफी बहुत हुआ. सो वही कॉफी से कंसंट्रेशन से बदले में हम लोग बोलते हैं माइंडफुलनेस. हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ माइंडफुलनेस? ये एडवांटेज है, तुम लोग सब कुछ पता है, आई सी द वेरी गुड. सो माइंडफुलनेस प्रैक्टिस जैसे रिड्यूसेस स्ट्रेस. तो स्ट्रेस रिडक्शन, स्ट्रेस कैसे मेजर करोगे? कॉर्टिसोल लेवल्स. तो मुझे भी, मैं भी थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ रहा हूँ लाइसेंस अभी. आई स्टार्टेड रीडिंग, अदरवाइज इधर बहुत मुश्किल है. सो कॉर्टिसोल लेवल्स गिव्स अस अ मेजरमेंट ऑफ स्ट्रेस. कॉर्टिसोल इज अ हार्मोन. हैप्पी हार्मोन्स पता है? स्ट्रेस हार्मोन. स्ट्रेस हार्मोन. और हैप्पी हार्मोन्स कौन सा है? सो देयर आर 4 हैप्पी हार्मोन्स, राइट? तो ये वो भी है एक एटलीस्ट की माइंडफुलनेस से वन ऑफ द हैप्पी हार्मोन्स वन is increased. So I don't remember exactly which one. You can tell. Dopamine. Okay. Okay. तो वो तो 4 है. So mindfulness practice reduces stress. So is mindfulness practice. So we have a variable. The mindfulness practice करेंगे तो मेरा स्ट्रेस रिड्यूस होगा. सो डिपेंडेंट इज माइंडफुलनेस के ऊपर स्ट्रेस डिपेंडेंट है. सो माइंडफुलनेस प्रैक्टिस इज द इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल एंड डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल इज स्ट्रेस रिडक्शन. बट इट इज एन एक्सपेरिमेंट टाइप. क्यों? क्योंकि एक ट्रीटमेंट दे रहे हैं हम लोग इधर. दैट्स माइंड. आई हैव टू इंट्रोड्यूस द माई सैंपल्स, मीन्स जो ह्यूमंस हम लोग ले रहे फॉर analysis, they have to be trained for mindfulness. So mindfulness training we will impart to them. Okay. So here we are giving a treatment that is mindfulness training. And what is the age variable? Here also age will be a factor. I don't know. This generation is stress free or more stress? More stress. वो stress free बोला. I don't know. But age has a factor. Probably. I am most stressed. सब बाल सफेद हो गया है, पूरा हो गया. And some people have less stress. The stress is related to this also. they say. मुझे कोई देख के बोलता अरे आप बहुत स्ट्रेस ले रहे हो, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. बट स्लीप क्वालिटी, एज को छोड़ दो, स्लीप क्वालिटी डेफिनेटली. एक आदमी रिसर्च करके घर जाके बिंदास सो रहा है, वो स्ट्रेस लेता ही नहीं है. और जो रात जाग के पढ़ रहा है उसके बहुत स्ट्रेस है. सो वी हैव टू हैव कंट्रोल ग्रुप्स, decide the group based on such controls. If we select a sample where there are people of very heavy sleepers and very low sleepers, we will not be able to have a relationship. So we have to have the control group like that. तो वो सब हमें ध्यान देना है. एक्सटेनियस वेरिएबल्स, बहुत जो सो रहा है वो माइंडफुलनेस का जरूरत ही नहीं है. 10 घंटा सोता है वो बिंदास सुबह आता है, और कोई स्ट्रेस नहीं, दूसरे को स्ट्रेस दे दे रहा है. So we have to think of those. The control is that profession same होना चाहिए, like the social conditions, the profession. If I am understanding the stress level of PhD students in the first year, of this group we have to take. I cannot take myself also, because the amount of or the quality of stress you are having and I am having are different. They are not. मेरा रीजन कुछ अलग है, तुम लोगों का रीजन कुछ अलग है, like that. So this is what about psychology. Then healthcare. The telemedicine एक टर्म है. Have you heard? टेलीमेडिसिन, फोन करके मैंने टेलीफोन के बाहर नहीं जाएंगे, बहुत एज हो गया है, आई विल कॉल एंड देन हैव मेडिसिन थ्रू फोन. सो दे से दैट तुम डॉक्टर के पास थ्रू टेलीमेडिसिन improves type 2 diabetes. So what are the variables here? Independent variable is telemedicine. Variable is HbA1c levels. एज बहुत कुछ लाइफ साइंस पढ़ रहा हूं मैं, अभी मत बोला. So and the variable is if you have a group who is doing exercise, जो लोग सुबह भाग रहा है उसको ऊपर टेस्ट करके कोई फायदा नहीं. जो घर पे सो रहा है मतलब टेलीमेडिसिन कर रहे हैं, दे आर नॉट ईगर टू गो आउट आल्सो एंड शो टू द डॉक्टर. सो वी हैव टू हैव द वेरिएबल और द सिलेक्शन वुड बी सच that we are that group, lazy kind of group. And somebody who is doing physical exercise, it may be that it's not because of telemedicine. Since he is doing good exercises, his insulin levels are proper, and he is not diabetic. It's not because of medicine, but because of other reasons. So we'll have the lifestyle, similar lifestyle. So the control group is similar lifestyle. Should be there. And treatment is telehealth monitoring. So this is how experimental unit is individual patients. This is how it can go on. लाइफ साइंस में आ गया मैं, अभी बहुत सीख रहा हूँ. हाँ, so they say that microbiota means the gut bacteria is linked to obesity. ऐसा सच है, he is agreed. So here the independent variable is microbiota composition and dependent variable is obesity markers. This is what you use the terms obesity markers. I don't know what are the markers. I don't, HD, huh? BMI. So one of the markers. So जैसे वेट बोला ना, वेट और हाइट मेजर करके छोड़ देंगे. हाँ, सो एक्सटेनियस वेरिएबल डाइट. हाँ, डाइट लेने से अब एक आदमी बहुत रसगुल्ला खा रहा है और दूसरा नहीं खा रहा है, वो दोनों को कंपेयर करना मुश्किल हो जाएगा. सो extraneous variables, if you have a group 3-4 people are continuously eating heavy and then you want to correlate the microbiota is linked to obesity, it will be difficult, isn't it? So like that it goes on. So environment, so industrial effluent worsens water quality. Okay, so here the independent variable is industrial effluent and the dependent variable water quality. But if there is a rainfall, you will not be having the similar results. It should be a same season, and it is non-experimental, and you will have, so if there is an industry here, upstream you will collect the data and downstream you will collect the data after the effluent and compare the water quality of the two. Okay, this is what you have to do. You do not have to treatment, the treatment is given. So the sampling site is the experimental unit. Education, again, online classes are going on and offline classes here it is going on. So the learning mode can be an independent variable and dependent variable is exam performance. And I suppose right now that online is equivalent to classroom teaching. Both are faring equal. Okay, let us see. ये तो हम लोगों को लास्ट में पता चलेगा. मार्केटिंग, इन्फ्लुएंसर एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स में कौन सी एडवर्टाइजमेंट कर रहा हूँ, तो ज्यादा बिकेगा या कम बिकेगा. सो दैट काइंड ऑफ स्टडी मार्केटिंग में होता है. फाइन मींस मार्केटिंग मैनेजमेंट. सो ऑल दोस थिंग्स. सो influencer advertisement boost selling of the products. This is what I am considering. But I have to prove, right, to the company. I'm a marketing person, so I have to be. See, this is all what research is about in marketing industry. So here the dependent variable means how much the selling is taking place, and the extraneous variable is product type. It will depend upon the type also. The control is that you will have to use the same product, otherwise it will vary the samples. Condensed matter physics. Physics also I am coming. Physics I have also little idea. So there you have superconductivity. TC, what is this? TC, superconductivity. Critical temperature. So what happens in critical temperature? Resistivity becomes zero. But that is the definition? No. Zero. This is the definition of TC. Or some transformation takes place. Kuch. Normal state to, so that is the definition. वही बोलो ना. So doping. So you have a crystal. What is the superconductor? What it is? Yttrium, beryllium, YBC. Yttrium, beryllium, copper. Yttrium, barium, copper oxide. They say that is a superconductor, one of the oldest known superconductor. But that is an oxide, so that is an issue. It's a ceramic material, so it's very difficult to construct. That is again an industrial problem. Anyways, so the extraneous variable is sample purity. So if you have, if you want to establish that yttrium, barium, copper at yttrium side you are doping with something, and you correlate that okay there will be a periodic increase in superconductivity or TC or a periodic decrease you will observe. But whether that relationship you can establish will depend whether your sample is pure or not. One other factor, extraneous variable is purity. If it is not pure, during doping you introduce some impurity in the sample, you will not be able to get a proper relationship between the doping concentration and the TC. So what you will plot? The doping concentration versus TC, and you will get a, say, doping is increasing or decreasing, whatever, or there is a transition point. But if there are impurities, because this kind of superconductivity depends upon the crystal structure, it should be purely crystal, sample purity, The crystal quality is very important. So that becomes the control. Okay. And there are two groups. Experimental groups is that you are giving a treatment, you are giving the doping of varied concentration. At it, so at copper site, you are doping cobalt. So 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. What is the effect on TC? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whether it is changing or not. So here you are giving a treatment, that is, you are changing the doping, the concentration of the dopant, and you are getting the dependent variable. You are measuring the TC, the conducting the dependent variable. You are measuring the TC and doping level, the treatment you are giving, and the control group. That is, the experimental group is the doped samples, and you compare with the control group, the undoped sample, and you say whether it has increased or decreased, and establish a relationship. Whether the superconductivity will increase or decrease with doping of a specific material. In chemical engineering, say suppose you do catalyst, so there in what happens in chemical engineering plants, so there are reactors, big flow through reactors. So there is a reactant flowing through that, and inside there is a catalyst bed, very big bed. But in research you have a small base, test bed. So you have a small bed, a test bed, where you have introduced a catalyst. You say that nickel alumina catalyst lowers activation energy for SMR. So what you do, in absence of catalyst, you do steam methane reformation at particular temperature, say 900 degrees Celsius. SMR means steam methane reformation. Steam के साथ methane react करके hydrogen होता है. The major hydrogen production route right now. So nickel alumina catalyst lowers the activation energy of SMR, but this you have to prove. So what you the independent variable is the catalyst type, and what you measure is the catalytic activity. It means outside the reactor what is coming. Inside the entry of the reactor, so there is a black box which you where you put the catalyst. In that box there is nothing, and you put the reactants and you measure the outside. You get some product, and at various temperature, and you measure the activation energy. Plot that activation energy. You have got that activation energy, right? And they repeat the same things. Control, constant condition, both in presence and absence of the catalyst. You do the same, repeat the same experiment. In presence of catalyst, you see that at the same temperature we will have much higher catalytic conversions. Okay, means the product yield, and you get the activation energy in presence of catalyst. You will see that you will be able to establish your hypothesis that nickel alumina catalyst lowers the activation energy for SMR. This is what the experimental group is. New catalyst, and treatment is catalyst modification. You can do various type of treatment. Then you can do nickel. You can synthesize nickel nanoparticles on alumina of various size, and you can establish a correlation, or that the nickel particle size, okay, affects the SMR product activity, or affects the activation energy of SMR. Similarly, shape, you can means you can comment on the shape. You can comment on the content. The nickel content, you can have 10%, 20%, 30% on alumina. And then you have at 10%, how much is the conversion, or what is the activation energy? 20%, how much is the conversion, or what is the activation energy? And 30%, how much is the conversion, or what is the activation energy? You find the dependent variable under these vary three different conditions. Okay, and then you will be able to prove your hypothesis that the nickel content, the nickel size also has an effect on the activation energy for SMR. Okay, and then देखो एग्जाम. दिस इज ओनली एग्जाम. एग्जाम में सब कुछ नहीं पढ़ना है, एग्जाम्पल नहीं पढ़ना है, ये समझने के लिए एग्जाम्पल्स. इज दैट what is research design? You define what is research design. Yeah, at least one line you try to understand. And what is the need for the research design? We pointed out something, 2-3 needs. At least remember one or two words. What are the important characteristics we did? What are the guiding questions of it? So we did 10 questions. 10 questions हम लोगों ने देखा जो तुमको answer. You should ask the questions for your hypothesis and try to find out the answer. As you get the answer, you will be able to define the research design, and it will be having 4 components. So what are the main components of research design? So there is a 4 components. What are the features of good research design? We told that it is flexible and mention and explain the concepts related to research design. There are 10 concepts. What is that? The variables, the extraneous variable, the control, hypothesis, Okay, control groups, experimental and non-experimental hypothesis testing research, experiment and experimental unit. Okay, these are the 10 different concepts we learned today, and we learned with example so that we understand. At least few lines you can write on that, or from your understanding. Very simple. We'll again repeat, again have a recap of this, and then we'll proceed tomorrow and the next part. Okay. Today I have mentioned thank you. So thank you.